Hello everyone, this is Miss Amy from the Euclid Public Library, Youth Services Department, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about some of my favorite young adult books. Probably my all-time favorite teen series is Scott Westerfeld's Leviathan series. The Leviathan series is told in alternating chapters between two different characters. It is also an alternative history with a steampunk kind of twist. Now, an alternative history is where they take a real historical event, in this case World War I, and they just tweak it a little bit to make it a little bit more interesting and give you a different spin on the story. In case you didn't know, World War I starts when the Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife are assassinated. In real life, all of their kids had already grown up. But for the purpose of our story, we're imagining that they had one son that was a teenage boy. His name was Alexander. Alexander was awoken in the middle of the night after his parents were assassinated by his guards and his servants. And they all just barely made it out of the castle. They escape up into the Alps and find a chalet where they can hide away for a little while. The other voice that the chapters are written in is Darren. Darren is a young lady who's growing up in Britain, and all she wants to do, all she's ever wanted to do, is join the Royal Air Force. But she's a girl, and girls aren't allowed in the Royal Air Force. So what did you think she did? That's right. She dressed up as a boy, passed all the tests, took all the physical tests, took all the mental tests, and artfully avoided anybody finding out she was a girl. And she gets stationed upon one of the largest airships in the whole Royal Air Force. Now, this is where we get into that steampunk. In the book, what would have in history been the Central Powers, which were basically Germany and the Austro-Hungarian Empire, are known as the clunkers because they're using steam-powered machines of war. Giant machines that look like something out of Star Wars, like the giant AT-ATs and the walkers. But messier, noisier, and stinkier because they're all powered by steam and coal. Whereas the Allies, Britain, France, Russia, they're a little bit more scientifically advanced. They took Darwin's theory of evolution and figured out gene splicing over 80 years before we did in real life. And they have started making all of their war machines out of animals. So the Leviathan isn't just an airship. It is a giant blue whale up in the sky. So that's where Darren is. Darren's airship happens to be the one that comes up over the Alps at about the same time that Alex is escaping. Her airship starts to lose altitude and starts to crash. Well, Alex and his people see this and are like, we got to go help them. So they ride out to help. At the same time that a whole clunker army is coming up the mountainside looking for Alex. The Leviathan is able to defend themselves from that army. And Alex helps them get their airship back up in the air. Only if he can come along. Alex is hiding who he is, though, because he doesn't know who he can trust. So he's just hiding out as some rich German kid. Whereas Darren's hiding as a boy. Darren and Alex become quick friends. But they don't know if they can trust each other with their secrets. And since it's war, just about every time they get close to doing that, they have a battle they have to take care of. In the first book, they are trying to avoid World War I breaking out. So that's the first set of books. The second set of books that I want to talk to you about are by L.L. McKinney. And they're A Blade So Black, A Dream So Dark, and then the third one is coming out this next year and doesn't have a title just yet. But these are a reimagining of Alice in Wonderland. In this book, Alice is a young black teenager from Atlanta, Georgia. At the beginning of the book, her dad has just died at the hospital, and she takes off running. She runs and she runs and she runs until she just can't anymore. And she slides down the side of this wall in this dark alley and just cries her eyes out until she starts smelling something really, really rank. And she starts hearing something that sounds not good at all. So she looks up and sees the ugliest creature from another dimension that she's ever seen. And just as she thinks that she is done for, this totally awesome, dreamy dude steps out of nowhere with a giant sword and kills the beast. He introduces himself as Hatta, Hatta. Now, some of you might know him or recognize him from the Alice in Wonderland stories as the Mad Hatter. He's very surprised because Alice shouldn't be able to see him or the nightmare creature that he just killed. He eventually gets her to start training with him, and she becomes a killer of nightmares for him and a guardian of the gates into our dimension from Wonderland. She's loving it. She gets swords, she gets a double blade, she's kicking butt. It's getting out all of her frustrations about her father's death, and school, and her needy friends, and her overprotective mom. But just as things seem to be going really good, an old enemy may be resurfacing from Hatta's past. And it looks like they don't want Hatta or Alice to make it out of Wonderland. The next two books I have for you are mysteries. And I'm not usually a mystery reader, but these two kept my attention, and I didn't know what was going on and who did what until the very end. So the first one's called Monday's Not Coming. Monday is missing, and I'm not talking about the day of the week. Monday is Claudia's best friend. And Claudia knows something's wrong when Monday doesn't show up for the first day of school, the second day of school, the whole first week of school. Because she knows Monday would never leave her to try to survive school by herself. Especially knowing that this is the most important year for her if she's going to try to get into a really good college. So Monday has just vanished. Nobody seems to know where she is. Claudia asks around. Nobody remembers when they've seen her last. Claudia goes in search of Monday's mom, and she's of no help to anyone about anything. And then she goes in search of Claudia's older sister, April, and April actively tries to get her to stop looking for Monday. Why? It doesn't make any sense. The more that Claudia digs into the mystery, the more disturbing it gets. That nobody knows where she went. The story is told in chapters that alternate between before Monday went missing and after Monday went missing. And then you have to try to figure out what's happening in between. And the end of the book was a total shock to me. The last one, like I said, is another mystery that had me not knowing what was going on until the very, very end. It's called The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg. The Kingdom's tagline is, where happily ever after is not just a promise, it's a rule. So the kingdom is the most magical place on earth. Sounds great, right? What if you work there? Do you think it's as great on the inside as it is to all the people looking in? Well, what if you not only worked there, but what if you are the living property of the kingdom? You're probably like, wait, that sounds like slavery. But wait, it just might get worse. Anna is one of 7 futurists / princesses who live and sleep and eat and everything at the kingdom. They never get to leave. While she feels like a real girl, she's actually an animatronic cyborg. It's like the Terminator, but pretty. She's programmed to never be able to say no to a guest's request unless it will put that guest or other guests in danger. But notice that she can put herself in danger for any request of the guests. At the beginning of this book, we are introduced to the fact that she is on trial. She's on trial for murder. It's told alternating between her story and her point of view in court transcripts, psych evaluations, video transcripts of things that were seen and done. And you're never really certain how all the jigsaw pieces fit together until the very end, which actually has a twist coming to it. The question is, can a computer, can a cyborg actually commit murder? Or is there something wrong with their programming? Or did somebody program them incorrectly? Was it something somebody else made her do? That's the question for you. All of these books are available on Overdrive, and most of them have an audiobook version as well. I thank you for sticking with me and listening through 4 of my favorite books, and I hope you have fun reading as we wait to get back into our building.